Hello viewers, in this session you will learn Lord Byron's magnum opus Don Juan. It is a mock epic based on a character Don Juan in a Spanish story. Byron portrays Don Juan not as a womanizer but as someone who can be seduced by women easily. It is divided into 17 cantos and has more than 16,000 lines of verse. Introduction to Lord Byron. George Gordon Byron, mostly known as Lord Byron, was born on January 22, 1788. He was a leading British poet in the Romantic movement. He is regarded as one of the most influential and widely read British poets. He is mainly known for his poetry and the masterpiece Don Juan. Such a prolific and pioneering literary personality died of some infections at the age of 36 on April 19, 1824. Don Juan is the central character of the mock epic and the narrator as well. He is a character taken from the European literature, more specifically from Spanish literature. Lord Byron portrays many characters in his mock epic from the real life. According to some critics, Don Juan represents Lord Byron himself. Don Juan is a notorious character in a Spanish story. He is a villain, seducer of women, and quite notorious for polygamy. Lord Byron uses this character as an archetype with some basic changes in the character portrayal. Byron's Don Juan is not a villain, but has the basic instinct of the Spanish character Don Juan, who is a seducer and lustful man, always liked and loved and easily trapped by women. Don Juan is a charming person who is liked by the women around. He never makes any effort to woo women. On the contrary, the women around him try their level best to make use of him. He is the dedicated lover of Haidee and generous caretaker of Leila. He is presented as a noble character who loses some of his values and then undertakes an adventurous journey in the pursuit of moral values and becomes degenerated in the course of time. Lord Byron's Don Juan begins with a dedication to Robert Southey and William Wordsworth, the great poets of his time. Byron ridicules his contemporaries and calls his rival poet Robert Southey a Tory turncoat, and William Wordsworth an intellectual eunuch. There are 17 cantos in this mock epic. That is, the last canto, Canto number 17, remained incomplete due to the death of Lord Byron. As a result, there is no suitable ending given to this mock epic. Canto I, written in 1818. The mock epic opens with two characters, Jose and Donna Inez, in Sevilla. Jose and Inez are Juan's parents who have no feelings for each other. Inez wants to separate from him, but unfortunately Jose dies leaving Juan as his sole heir. Inez develops a relationship with Don Alfonso, and in turn Alfonso's 23-year-old beautiful wife Julia casts her eyes on Don Juan, a 16-year young boy. In the month of June, an unscrupulous event takes place. Don Alfonso comes to Julia's bedroom in the company of her maid Antonia. But to his surprise, Julia is found sharing the bed with her lover Don Juan. At his arrival, Don Juan hides himself and does not come out before Don Alfonso. Julia expresses her anger and indignation for Alfonso's rude behavior and his disregard to her. Alfonso lives with a suspicion and again comes back. On his return, he finds Don Juan's shoes near the bed and then Juan runs away from the place. As a result of her adultery, Alfonso files a divorce case and sends Julia to a nunnery. Donna Inez comes to know about these developments and wants her son to know the world much better. She also wants him to learn a moral lesson and be ethical in life. So, she suggests that he should undertake a journey to Haidee. While leaving, Don Juan carries a tearful goodbye letter written by Julia. Canto II, written in December 1818 and January 1819. Canto II starts with Juan's journey from Haidee to Trinidad in a ship. He is accompanied by his tutor, Pedrillo, and 3 servants. He still remembers Julia and has great affection for her. He intends to travel for 4 years. During the journey, a storm sinks their ship. Juan and a few others on the boat cram into a long boat and save their lives. Their suffering starts when they starve for food and have no edibles on the boat to feed their empty stomach. They turn into cannibals, and anyhow, Juan survives alone and can land up in an island near Cyclades. When he has been all alone, Juan is discovered by a beautiful 17-year-old young girl, Haidee, and her maid, Zoe. Haidee and Zoe take him to a cave. Haidee gets attracted to him and falls in love. In fact, Juan and Haidee do not know each other's language. Haidee speaks Greek and Juan knows English. Initially, there has been no verbal communication, but later they develop a good rapport. Haidee's father, Lambro, a fisherman and a pirate. He is also into the business of capturing people and selling them as slaves. Haidee's love is revealed to her father, who has his own reservations about. The canto ends with their happy wedding in the absence of Lambro. Canto III, written in 1819. The canto opens with the mockery of conventional epic poet. The poet expresses his views on marriage as an institution. Haidee and Juan feel free with the assumption that her father is no more. They arrange a party and enjoy the moment. In a surprising situation, Lambro comes back and witnesses the celebration in his absence. He also comes to know that Haidee and Juan have moved into his house and are enjoying a connubial life. Canto IV, written in 1819. After the celebration, Juan and Haidee are asleep together. Haidee dreams of her father, and Lambro actually comes to the bedroom along with his associates and confronts Juan. Juan alone cannot fight back. Haidee protests a lot, but in vain. Juan is severely injured and is taken away by Lamro to the slave ship. Lamro and his associates carry many people from different countries to Istanbul to sell them as slaves. Juan is in their custody along with an Englishman, John Johnson. Haidee gives up food so as to convince her father and dies after 12 days. The slave ship anchors near the palace wall at Istanbul with a schedule to sail all on board in the slave market. Canto V, written in 1820. In the slave market, Juan talks to John Johnson and tells him about his love affair with Haidee. A black eunuch, Baba, buys them and takes them to the palace. Juan is forced to wear a woman's attire. Juan's denial is followed by Baba's threatening and forceful blackmailing. Juan dresses as a woman and is brought to Sultana Gulbeyaz, a 26-year-old beauty, the fourth and the most favorite queen of the Sultan. Juan is instructed to kiss her feet, but he denies and ultimately agrees to kiss her hand. Gulbeyaz likes Juan very much and makes some sensuous advances towards him. Juan remembers Haidee and neglects her. She gets angry with him and wants to behead him, but changes her mind and remains cool. Baba reports her that Sultan has been approaching her imperial hall. The Sultan is a 59-year-old man having 1,500 concubines. He glances at Juan, assuming her a Christian woman, regrets and appreciates her beauty. Canto VI, written in 1822. Canto VI is full of sensuous descriptions. Juan is still in the woman's attire. He is brought in front of a beautiful lady Dudu, a 17-year young girl. Dudu is kind and beautiful. She wants Juana, that is Juan, to accompany her. Dudu kisses Juana passionately, undresses and shares the bed. At about 3 o'clock in the early morning, Dudu gets up and screams. The cause of her screaming is not revealed, but she thinks that she visualized a dream, being in the woods like Dante. The matron wants to keep Juana in some other place, but Dudu insists that she remains where she is. In the morning, Sultan asks Baba about Juan's experience in the night. Baba omits the fact and updates him about Dudu's dream. Sultana comes to know about all these developments and orders Baba to kill Dudu and Juan. Baba pleads with her to review her decision and convinces her that killing both of them is not the only solution. Canto VII, written in 1822. Juan and John Johnson managed to escape from the place with the help of 2 women and reach a Turkish fort at the mouth of the Black Sea. They find Field Marshal Suvarov, a Russian army officer, near the fort. John recognizes him when they served during a battle at VIII. Suvarov has been ordered by his commander-in-chief, Prince Potemkin, to attack Ismail and the Turkish fort. Juan and John successfully convince Suvarov and join the Russian army. Suvorov is not convinced about the presence of the women, but anyhow Juan and John takes him into confidence and tell him that both the women have helped them to escape from the seraglio. The canto ends with the consent of Suvorov for the women to stay with them. Canto VIII, written in 1822. Juan and John both fight bravely and fearlessly for the Russians. 40,000 Turks are slaughtered in the conquest of Ismail. Juan saves the life of a Muslim child named Leila, who he adopts and is determined to protect from any harm. Juan comes out as a hero and is sent to Petersburg, Russia. He is rewarded for his bravery and heroism during the battle. Juan takes 10-year-old Leila to Russia and introduces her as his own child and vows to protect her. Canto IX, written in 1822. Canto IX is a short one. Juan, dressed in military uniform, appears in the Russian royal court as a war hero. He looks to be well groomed and handsome in the uniform. The Russian Queen Catherine II is also quite impressed with Juan and gets infatuated with him. She is a 48-year-old lady but desires Juan. She always flatters and appreciates him. Juan concentrates on Leila and takes utmost care of her. Canto X, written in 1822. Juan enjoys life and glory in Russia. He is in demand and has become a little dissolute. He keeps writing to his mother Donna Inez, who is always worried of his being influenced by Greek worship. Gradually, Juan's health deteriorates and he becomes ill and delicate. The doctor advises him to have a change and Catherine II sends him on a secret mission to England. Juan, along with Leila, travels to London via Poland and Holland. Juan still takes care of Leila, who is still a Muslim and rejects getting converted to Christianity. She is surprised to see the British life in Canterbury and wonders how the gods tolerate Christians. Canto XI, written in 1822. Juan kills a person in self-defense. He is presented to and settled into the fashionable London life. He is in demand and always surrounded by beautiful girls and wedded dames. His life is totally changed and he has become superficial and artificial. His contacts with a number of ladies and his lifestyle have brought a sea change in his personality and demeanor. Canto XII, written in 1822. The canto opens with Juan in his middle age. Now, Juan is 35 years old, still indulging in pompous London life. He is flirting in London, but is still particular about Leila's education. Many people come forward for her education, but he relies on Lady Pinchbeck. After coming back from Russia, Juan is not so much impressed by British ladies and their lifestyle, but gradually they grow on him. Canto XIII, written in 1823. Juan has become well-reputed personality among aristocratic people in London. Once, he has been invited by the Lady Adeline and her husband, Lord Henry. She is the most fatal lady Juan ever meets in his life. Diplomatic relations bring Juan and Lord Henry together. Juan is on a secret mission for Catherine II of Russia. Juan keeps coming to the country mansion of Lord Henry and has banquets and parties many times. Canto XIV, written in 1823. Juan is now 37-year-old mature person, still liked and loved by many women belonging to different strata of society. Juan and Lady Adeline are of the same age. Adeline is jealous of Duchess of Fitzfluck, who begins to flirt with Juan. Adeline has a cold marriage, but does not love Juan. On the contrary, she develops jealousy for the Duchess. The affair between Adeline and Juan is nowhere described, but at the bottom of her heart, Adeline likes Juan. Canto XV, written in 1823. Lady Adeline is at risk over her relations with Juan. She suggests that he gets married and searches a match for him. Juan reveals that he is in love with Aurora Raby, a young 16-year-old girl. Adeline arranges a dinner party for Juan and Aurora. All the three meet at dinner. Aurora is very laconic in her replies and remains silent throughout the dinner. Juan thinks that Aurora is the purest of all ladies he ever met. She is kind and noble. Always reminds Juan of his beloved Haidee and her devotion. Canto XVI, written in 1823. Juan is obsessed with Aurora and always thinks about her. After the dinner, he is about to retire from the palace. He walks through the hall, viewing the paintings in the gallery. He hears some footsteps but does not find any. And then he thinks that there may be a ghost of a monk. Next morning, Adeline looks ill and pale. She inquires about Juan and talks about the ghost. Adeline relates the presence of the ghost to Black Friar and the spirits of these walls. She sings a song dedicated to Black Friar and other spirits. After the song, Aurora remains silent and Lady Fitzfluck seems to be mischievous. She suggests that Adeline has sung this song to laugh. Juan, out of his dismay, visits Lord Henry, who is the justice of the peace. In another banquet, Juan, Aurora, Fitzfluck and Adeline meet. Juan wonders whether Aurora is the ghost. Adeline leaves for her duties. Fitz feels relaxed and very much at ease. Juan thinks of Aurora, who has awakened his feelings. Then he goes to bed and again hears the same sound of footsteps. Juan notices the open door and the friar concealed in his hood. Canto XVII, fragment, written in 1823. Canto XVII is a fragment. Lord Byron could not complete this canto and the mock epic as well. It opens at the breakfast table the next morning. Juan is totally shattered, pale and troubled, as if he combated with two ghosts. Duchess is also pale and shivering as if at the sight of the ghost. Lord Byron could not give a finishing touch to this canto and the epic. He might have had a particular idea in his mind as the ending of this mock epic, but this will remain unknown to the reader. Structure and style of the mock epic. Don Juan is a long satiric poem with a loose narrative held together only by the protagonist. The central character, Don Juan, maintains mocking and ironic relationship with the story. According to Lord Byron, there was no plot of the mock epic in his mind when he started with it. All incidents and developments in the life of Juan just came to his mind one after another, and the mock epic came into existence. The mock epic has been divided into 17 different cantos and has more than 16,000 lines of verse. The last canto, that is Canto number 17, is a fragment which Byron could not complete due to his illness and subsequent death. All the 17 cantos were published like episodes, having some intervals in between. The first canto was published in 1818 and the last in 1823. From the structural point of view, the mock epic has been written in stanzas of 8 lines written in iambic pentameter. The rhyme scheme of the epic is AB, 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 CC. Often, the last rhyming couplet is used for humorous bathos or comic expressions. This rhyme scheme is known as ottava rima. It is an Italian phrase giving the effect of the comic and tragic touch to a work of art. In Italian language, ottava means 8 and rima means rhyme. So, it is called ottava rima, meaning a poetic expression having AB, 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 CC as the rhyme scheme. The practitioners of this rhyme scheme in English are a few, and in most of the cases they gave a comic touch to their poetry. Don Juan as a mock epic. Before we discuss Don Juan as a mock epic, we should know the basic concept epic as a genre of literature. Epic is a long narrative poem written on or about a great and serious subject related to an elevated style and centered on a heroic character on whose actions depend the fate of a tribe, nation or the human race. The traditional epics were written by the literary artists based on the cultural and historical materials available to them. The topics such as the Iliad, the epics such as the Iliad, the Odyssey, etc. followed the tradition and established some norms for writing an epic. John Milton's Paradise Lost is an example of English epic tradition. The mock epic is something which follows the tradition of an epic, but lacks seriousness and solemnity. A mock epic is long, heroic, comical poem that imitates the features of an epic as a genre of literature. The poet uses elevated style of writing, but ridicules someone and hence lacks seriousness. Thus, epic and mock epic differ from each other. Don Juan adheres to all the characteristics of mock epic, hence it is a great work of art from the pen of Lord Byron. To sum up, Don Juan we can say that it is a genuine masterpiece of Lord Byron and a test changer in the Romantic period. Its satirical tone makes this work of art quite interesting. It continues to impress its readers and retains their interest till the end. I hope you have understood Don Juan as a mock epic. See you once again in the next session. Thank you.